Good morning. Getting your shit together is not easy. I think a lot more of us have problems with that than we care to admit, and it never really gets talked about. So, personally, in the last few months, I've fallen deeply into a gulch, and in the last month in particular, I've been working very hard to get myself out of that gulch. But what it's led me to realize is that that gulch is not something I've been in for only a few months. Rather, I've been in a gulch almost my entire adult life. And so, in regards to that, I've been making consistent and extreme efforts to reorganize my life, get my habits back in check, and really to live a productive life that I want, as opposed to letting the days go by where I spend 10 hours scrolling through YouTube shorts or scrolling through reels or finding any other way to waste my time other than what I should be doing, which is my work. I know that I've gotten inspiration from videos like this where I've seen somebody say things that speak to me in a way that I haven't articulated to myself. And then when I see that and I feel that, I think, okay, maybe it's time to make some changes. A lot of times when you fall off the horse, you don't really know when it happens. It just kind of happens, and you realize months later, like, oh crap, like, my life is not the way I want it to be. My life is a mess. How did things get to where they are? How did I used to feel? And when did it change and why? And is there any evidence in my actions in the last few months or last few years that can suggest why the change in feeling may have happened? I heard a quote recently that I think is perfectly summative of what that attitude is, and that's that esteemable people do esteemable things. And if you aren't somebody who's proud of the things that you're doing, then it's going to be really hard to put on some confident front and be a confident person out in the world if you don't feel that you've earned it. For me personally, the last couple of months, I've really been looking within and seeing, okay, what kinds of things have I been doing that I wouldn't have been okay with um, before I felt this way? And then looking into that and making adaptations heading forward. I want to make videos kind of talking about some of the things that I feel and some of the things that I've felt, some things that I've done, and how it's affected my life. And then just kind of get this out there. That's just kind of the idea. So, my name's Alex, and I'm a 23-year-old glassblower who lives in Northern California. I live with my girlfriend in a duplex, and I'm very grateful to be living where I live. Life has been treating me very nicely on the outside, and I, in return, have treated myself like absolute dog shit for about 3 years. So that's no good, and and that has an effect on the way you see yourself. So personally, my goal here is to really try and get back to the confident person that I used to be, the confident, productive, sociable, you name it, person that I felt was capable of taking on anything that came my way. Um, because that is not how I've been for a long time, and I feel like I've lost myself. And if you've been there, that feeling fucking sucks. So, cheers to anybody who feels that way, because I know exactly how it feels, and I'm here to tell you, with a lot of consistent work, you can get yourself out of that gulch and feel so much better than you ever did. And I'm going to be explaining some of the depths that I went to, just to kind of give some perspective, because I think that's going to be helpful. A lot of times, when you tell somebody, you're like, oh dude, man, I've been going through it, a lot of times like, oh dude, me too, I like this and this, and I like that personally. I like relating others' experiences to my own, but a lot of times people don't like that. If they want to vent about something, they're not looking for you to give your similar experience. But when I'm on the internet and I see somebody give a similar experience to a struggle that I've had, I'm like, fucking thank you for articulating it, because that just makes me feel so much more grounded after having heard somebody else feel the exact feelings that I felt. So let's just get into it. Let's talk about what some of the depths were that I found myself in. First things first, hygiene. Hygiene became an extreme issue. And this is something that nobody really knows, because I'm not, when you're having, phases or periods of time like this in your life, you're not going around bragging to everybody about it. You're not telling everyone what's going on. And so like, no one really knew, but there was a period of like 5 or 6 months where I was showering about twice a week and I was brushing my teeth about 5 times a week, um, which is disgusting and it's extremely shameful. But when you've fallen out of a routine so hard, sometimes that's how it goes, and it can get much worse. Basically, here's a day in the life, just to paint the picture for you. I would wake up at about 8:30 actually. I was pretty responsible when it came to waking up. But then I would blow everything and I would stay in bed for at least 3 or 4 hours. I would stay in bed on YouTube Shorts or on Instagram Reels for about 4 hours. And then I would need to get started with work by that point, but the equipment that I use for work takes about 2 hours to warm up. So I would fire it up, but it's already noon. So it would take about 2 hours for it to get started. So then I would turn on Fortnite and I would play some video games until it got warmed up. But, once it got warmed up, it's like, I don't really got to start right now. So I'd keep playing video games and swap between video games and YouTube Shorts. All the while, I haven't eaten anything. I haven't showered. I haven't brushed my teeth. I'm in my fucking pajamas. Maybe it's 1 now, and I'm like, I should probably get started with work. 5 hours after I was planning to for that day, I should mention. But I would get started with work at like 1, and I would work on something, and I would fucking break it or have it go wrong. I would rage. I would break some glass, and I'd go back inside and sit back down and play video games. And then my girlfriend would get home from work a couple hours later, and I'd worked for like 30 minutes that day. I hadn't answered my DMs. I hadn't gone on Instagram to get caught up on my business. And I hadn't checked on any of the orders. I just basically fucked off for like 8 straight hours. And then my girlfriend would get home and she'd be like, "Hey, how was your day?" I'd be like, "It was alright, And then she'd ask, "Oh, look, what'd you do?" I'd be like, I didn't have shit to say." And I'd think, like, what did I do? I don't remember really doing anything in particular. Like, of course, I was watching videos and playing video games. Like, that's what I did. But, like, I don't remember a single moment in any of that sticking out to me and having been a novel moment in my day. It was just run-of-the-mill, rinse and repeat. Tomorrow's a new day. It's pretty early. I can get up early tomorrow if I get on top of things right now. And so I would prepare for the next day. Meanwhile, for dinner, dude, I would pig the fuck out so bad. I would eat as much as I could of whatever we were having. And then after dinner, keep in mind, I forgot to mention this, but I'm like smoking weed the whole day. Like, bowl when I wake up, bowl after bowl after every game of Fortnite. I'm talking like 10 bowls before I've had dinner. I would have dinner, I'd have a bowl, a big bowl after dinner. And, that would put me in a certain state of mind. And that state of mind was, it's time to go to 7-Eleven. And I get myself some Ben & Jerry's for like $8. I'd come back to my house, and by that point, my girlfriend was usually ready to go to bed. But I wouldn't go to bed because like she goes to work at like 6, so I don't go to bed that early. So I would just stay up, and right around this time is when one of my buddies would like FaceTime me and be like, "Yo, you want to play some Fortnite?" Like, absolutely, and that's fine in and of itself. I encourage that. I still do it. But when you've spent 12 hours like throughout the day previous to that, wasting your time in every facet, you haven't earned video games with the boys at 10 o'clock or whatever. So after having wasted the entire day, I would then hop on my PlayStation and I would play video games with my homie until like 1 or 2 in the morning. And all the while, oh, we're blasting bulls while we're playing Fortnite and in COD and stuff. Like after every game, we're blasting bulls. And like we're on FaceTime too. So we're like one-upping each other on these bulls that we're blasting. And so pretty much after we would finish our gaming session, by this point it's like 2 in the morning. And now my plan to wake up early the next day is kind of down the toilet because I'm so high. If I go to sleep and try and wake up 6 hours from then, it's going to be a horrible day no matter how you slice it. And so I'm not waking up at 8. So maybe the next day I wake up at like 9. I get like 7 hours of sleep, but it's half-baked shit sleep. So I don't feel well rested the next day. I wake up, and wouldn't you know, I do the fucking same thing. So that cycle persisted for, and like I said, like you didn't see me mention me taking a shower or me brushing my teeth anywhere in that schedule because it wouldn't happen. I would sprinkle it in. I would sprinkle it in when I would wake up the next day, like, oh shit, I don't think I brushed my teeth yesterday. I'd brush my teeth. I would wake up the next day and be like, dang, I wasted all day yesterday. Not gonna happen today. But sure enough, dude, it would happen that day. And so fast forward 6 months of that schedule, that routine, that's a hell of a routine. Fast forward 6 months of that, and it feels like I've aged 5 years. When you're wasting that much time flies. One day I woke up like a month ago. Actually, I got the exact day for you. So December 8th of this past year, 2022, I reached a personal high weight, which, it's not like a terribly high weight. I was 210 pounds, which at 5'10", it's getting there. It's getting there. And I've always been pretty muscular, and I've always been I've had a bigger body. I used to be around 180 in high school, at like 5'9", 5'10", so like that was natural. But like 210 at like 30% body fat, that's like way past anything I've ever been. And so I looked I looked at the scale, and I looked at myself, and I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing to yourself? Like, and keep in mind, like, in February of 2022, actually, holy shit, in April of 2022, I was 157 pounds. So I went from 157 pounds in April to 210 pounds in December. On top of all these things that I was not taking care of in my personal life, it was like, dude, I was spiraling out of control. And I saw myself, and I thought, dude, if you don't get in check, I can't imagine what you're going to be looking like at the end of next year. How is your life going to look a year from now? Your girlfriend's going to fucking dump your ass. You're going to be having to move back in with your mom. You're going to be probably 250 pounds, and I can't imagine what kind of habits and routines you're going to have by then. I can't live like this and continue to live like this and expect to be happy or confident. That's a dream, dude. At this point, to be happy and confident, that's a distant dream. Middle of December, I decided I'm done living my life like this. And instead of trying to like snap back in an extreme fashion like I've always tried to do, it's time to actually institute some sort of balance and to actually structure my life in a way that I have systems that I can rely on. I heard another quote by, I wasn't Andrew Huberman, but it was somebody in that space. And they said, we don't rise to the occasion, but we fall to our systems. And if our systems are poor, then when we have a bad day, well, that's how that bad day turns into a bad week, into a bad month, into a bad year. And if you can't get in control of that, then you're gonna have some serious problems, and you're not gonna be in control of them at all. And that's a very frustrating feeling when you're somebody who's been in control of things, relatively speaking, for most of your life. And it can be very disorienting if you don't understand why it's happening. It's like the gifted kid syndrome. When you have a child who's gifted, they're very smart, they don't have to do much work to succeed in class, and they go on for years of doing really minimal work but getting great grades, and then all of a sudden they go to college and they've developed no work ethic and they get freaking hammered because they don't know how to study and they haven't had to learn in the same way that everybody else has. It's kind of like that. If you've been confident and successful and a happy person and then you fall into this deep gulch, you don't know how the fuck it happened because you've never been like that. Why did this happen? And how can I never let this happen ever again? And that's kind of the gist of what this channel is supposed to be, of like, I fell into a gulch, so you don't have to. Because I wouldn't wish this last year upon my worst enemy. And the sad thing is that in a lot of ways, this could have been the greatest year of my life. I have a small business that I've been running for about 3 years now. I'm a glass blower. I sell my glass on the internet. I'll talk more about that in later videos, I'm sure, but for now, I'll just give you the gist. I sell glass on the internet. I make it in my garage. I post pictures and people buy it off of Instagram, and it's been really successful. The first couple years, I was able to make about double what I was making at my restaurant job, and that was pretty much enough for me to say, okay, I'm going to take some time off school, focus on this. And this last year, I'll put it this way. If I would have been consistent, I basically would have made 6 figures. And instead, I hardly made 5 figures. Yeah, I barely scraped by the whole year. And I didn't even work. I just didn't work. And like, I was able to have a lot of freedom, which was cool. But I basically just squandered what could have been a year's worth of opportunity to get myself ahead. And that's invaluable. If you know what kind of person you want to be, you have to act in a way that is in accordance with that person. If your actions don't match your beliefs, you're going to feel bad about it. And there's only 2 ways that you can go about that. You can change your beliefs, and you can say, you know what? I'm cool with being lazy. I'm cool with being unhealthy. I'm cool with having chronic back pain at 30 because I'd slouch over all day playing video games. You could say I'm cool with all that stuff, and you could live that life, and that's fine. Or you could say, I don't want this for me. And this is not how I want my life to go. And I can get in control of this. I just need to be disciplined. And everyone can do it. Everyone can do it. Hopefully this is helpful to somebody. But at the very least, getting to talk about this unfiltered for 30 minutes, I guess help one person. But yeah. Thanks for listening, man. I got a little angry in there, talking about how disappointed I was in myself. But yeah, I think that this is a good basis for a first video, and why I'm kind of making this whole channel, and why I'm even wanting to make videos to begin with. Yeah, that's about the size of it. So thanks for tuning in, and hopefully you were able to get something positive from this. Have a sick day. Well, not sick, you know. Have a fuck. Have a good day. Yeah. Peace.